Intelligence is a daily discipline. In Stoic Men, Tribe today we're tapping into a powerful truth, a moment of inner strength, sharp clarity, and timeless wisdom. Don't skip any part of this video, share your thoughts in the comment. Please do us a favor by hitting the subscribe button, like and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. They say intelligence is a gift, something we're born with. But that's only part of the story, because true intelligence is not a trait. It's a practice, a ritual, a daily discipline. The world worships IQ scores, diplomas, and data. But the sharpest minds aren't just born. They're forged in silence, in solitude, in repetition. True intelligence is not measured by what you know, but by how deeply you're committed to learning every single day. The philosopher Aristotle once said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Replace the word excellence with intelligence, and the truth still holds. You don't become wise by accident. You become wise by turning curiosity into commitment, by choosing to feed your mind even when you're tired, even when no one's watching, even when it doesn't feel convenient or rewarding. Because intelligence isn't loud, it's patient. It's the quiet decision to read a book instead of scrolling. It's listening instead of interrupting. It's asking why instead of just accepting what is. It's the courage to admit, "I don't know," and then seek the answer relentlessly. The Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "While we teach, we learn," because intelligence is never a destination. It's a process. You don't arrive at smart. You grow into it. 1. People often speak of intelligence as if it were a spark we're born with, a natural talent, a fixed capacity, something etched into our DNA at birth. They treat it like a lottery ticket. Either you have it or you don't. But that's a narrow and incomplete picture. Because the truth is, real intelligence, the kind that transforms lives and reshapes the world, is not just a gift. It's a responsibility. It's not a trait that exists in stillness. It's a living force that must be developed, refined, and stretched daily. It is not measured by how much you know, but by how deeply you're willing to keep learning, unlearning, and relearning. It's not about memorizing facts or sounding smart in conversation. It's about engaging the world with curiosity, with humility, and with discipline. True intelligence is not something you simply possess. It is something you practice, over and over, in the quiet moments, in the difficult moments, in the unseen hours. It becomes a ritual of attention, a habit of reflection, a discipline of the mind. And as the philosopher Plato once said, "The measure of a man is what he does with power." But I would add, the measure of intelligence is what you do with your mind when no one is watching. Because intelligence doesn't shout, it listens, it doesn't settle, it explores, and above all, it doesn't stagnate, it grows. But growth requires intention. It requires the daily decision to sharpen your thinking the way a blade is sharpened, with friction, with patience, and with purpose. So no, intelligence is not just a gift, it is a calling. And the ones who answer it every day are the ones who rise. 2. The world worships IQ scores, diplomas, and data. But the sharpest minds aren't just born. They're forged in silence, in solitude, in repetition. True intelligence is not measured by what you know, but by how deeply you're committed to learning every single day. 3. The philosopher Aristotle once said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Replace the word excellence with intelligence, and the truth still holds. 4. You don't become wise by accident. You become wise by turning curiosity into commitment, by choosing to feed your mind even when you're tired, even when no one's watching, even when it doesn't feel convenient or rewarding. 5. Because intelligence isn't loud, it's patient. It's the quiet decision to read a book instead of scrolling. It's listening instead of interrupting. It's asking why instead of just accepting what is. It's the courage to admit, I don't know, and then seek the answer relentlessly. 6. The Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "While we teach, we learn." Because intelligence is never a destination. It's a process. You don't arrive at smart. You grow into it. 7. So what does daily intelligence look like? Reading even when you could binge watch. Journaling your thoughts so your mind doesn't stay cluttered. Questioning your assumptions and your habits. Being open to changing your mind when better information appears. Learning a new word and using it. Listening to understand, not just to reply. 8. It's not about being the smartest person in the room. It's about becoming someone the room learns from. Because of your humility, your perspective, your relentless discipline to know more than you did yesterday. And not just know it, live it. 9, as Socrates once declared, the only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. And that is where discipline begins. Not in arrogance, but in awareness. Not in showing off what you know, but in showing up to grow. 10. Every single day, you are presented with a choice. Will you sharpen your mind, or will you let it rust? Will you water the seeds of thought, or let them dry out from neglect? Will you become a student of life, or just an observer? Understand this. Intelligence is not a lightning strike. It's a flame, a slow burn that demands oxygen daily. Discipline is that oxygen. So when you wake up tomorrow, don't just reach for your phone. Reach for your mind. Read something challenging. Write something true. Ask a question that stirs your soul. Because intelligence does not appear by accident. It doesn't fall from the sky like rain or arrive wrapped in ease. It is not inherited like a name, nor bought like a possession. It is built, layer by layer, thought by thought, question by question. It is the product of deliberate choices, made in silence, repeated in discipline. It grows not by chance, but by choice. And that choice, it is not dramatic. It is not grand. It is made in the quietest moments, when no one is watching. When you decide to learn instead of judge, to reflect instead of react, to ask instead of assume. That choice is made when you seek understanding, when you trade certainty for curiosity, and when you have the humility to say, I still have so much to learn. It doesn't begin tomorrow. It doesn't wait for the perfect mood or the perfect moment. It begins right now. It begins with a question. It begins with you. Because each day is a fork in the road. One path leads to comfort, the other to growth. One path repeats yesterday, the other transforms today. And in that transformation, you begin to evolve. He who opens a school door closes a prison. Victor Hugo education, learning intelligence. These are not luxuries. They are liberators. They are not ornaments of the mind. They are instruments of freedom. And the key to them is a question. Always a question. So never fear asking. Never hesitate to wonder. Because in the moment you ask, you are not a fool. You are brave. A man who asks a question is a fool for a minute. A man who does not ask is a fool for life. Confucius. Be the one who dares to ask, because that's where intelligence begins. Not in knowing, but in the courage to seek.